And welcome back to Reese Stadium here in sunny and surprisingly warm New Haven, Connecticut. Mark Schwartz alongside Patrick Reed. It was a heck of a first half between the number 20 Yale Bulldogs and the number 17 Fairfield Stags. The Bulldogs lead at 6-5. Patrick, I don't know if I could get much happier than this. Great weather and a great game going on right now.
This is what we hope for. This is why, why we come out and watch, and why I come out here and call these games, is just to be able to see these great games and actually have a great seat for the to watch this. Two really different two quarters. First quarter really controlled by Fairfield, and Yale came back in the second quarter and really took the momentum, put the ball in the net, got the ball moving really well. You could see a good ball movement, excellent lacrosse being played all around. For
the Bulldogs, 3 goals from Kirby Zadrill. He really led the attack for the Bulldogs, helped get them back into it. It was the first 3 goals scored by the Bulldogs. Conrad Oberbeck had 2 goals and Colin Flaherty had 1. And for the Stags, it's been a really spread out approach. They have 5 goals in the first half from 5 different goal scorers. And even with Sam Snow having 1, Patrick, the one big absence from the score sheet in the first half for the Stags is Jordan Greenfield, nowhere to be seen.
Yale defense didn't get ranked number 9th in the country for nothing. They are a great defense, and they're shutting them down. They're picking their, they're going to make Fairfield beat them with everybody else. Shut that guy down and make things difficult.
So as we look towards the second half, Bulldogs leading by 1 goal. What are a couple of keys that you think the Bulldogs need to do to hold on to the lead, and for maybe Fairfield to work their way back into it as well?
Yale's had a lot of success attacking from behind the net, really bulldodging and forcing these Fairfield defenders to try to play physical, and Yale's gotten man-up situations from that and really has done really well from that. So you want to see that. And then the midfield dodges for Yale have been really surprisingly well. When Fairfield's not sliding, Yale's really seeing the ball movement and getting their open shots.
And for Fairfield, Jack Murphy was a guy that we talked about a lot at the beginning of the game. He had a stellar first quarter, but the Bulldogs able to pepper him with a little bit more shots in the second quarter. But you'd still expect him to be a main part of whatever's going to happen, the decision for the last couple of quarters of this game.
Absolutely, and what we've kind of said is we don't want. I want to see Yale come out and put a couple of quick goals in here and take a lead. I don't want to go into the fourth quarter, end of the game, and having to worry about beating Jack Murphy, because he's a good goalie and he's gonna play it tight. It's not what you want. He's very clutch.
Well, a packed Reese Stadium here today for beautiful weather, and we're set for the second half action as Dylan Levings wins the face-off for the Bulldogs, something that he grew well accustomed to in the first half. And the Bulldogs will go on to the first attack of the second half. Mangan back behind the net to Zadrill, and Oberbeck on the far side. Oberbeck got off to a slow start in the first half, but 2 goals in the second quarter helped propel the Bulldogs back into the game. And now they lead by 1. Fairfield led by as many as 3 goals in the first half. They led 4-1, which was the largest lead for any team in the game. The 6-5 lead for the Bulldogs, actually their first lead overall of the contest. Flaherty behind the net to Mangan, over to Zadrill, and back up top, where it's controlled by Lippin. Lippin spins around, trying to create some space on the left wing, slows things up, and back up top, where it's taken by McCarthy. McCarthy rips the shot, goes wide right, but the Bulldogs maintain possession.
Great shot from McCarthy, going off stick hip, just a little bit wide of the net there.
Mangan trying to find Oberbeck, ball loose on the near side, picked up by McCarthy, and he'll jog it parallel to the cage and back behind the net to Mangan. That's about a minute 20 seconds in here as the pass to the slot, loose, ground ball picked up by Fairfield as Lippin wasn't able to pick it up in the slot. Fairfield comes back down the other way, and they have an opportunity to tie up the game. Sam Snow behind the net to Sperry, and over the near side, Jordan Greenfield. Expect to say Greenfield's name a little bit here in the second half after a slow first half. But again, the Stags were able to spread out their offense in the first half so well, 5 goals on 5 different goal scorers. Makes it more difficult for the Bulldogs to try to zone in on 1 or 2 players, though Greenfield and Sam Snow, 2 of the top goal scorers for this Stags team. As making the run towards the net was Colin McClendon. McClendon gives it off to Greenfield. Greenfield to his left, tries to wrap around. Solid defense from the Bulldogs, rips a shot, and a save made by Nutella.
Well, great point-blank save for Eric Natali there.
So Natali able to make the save on Greenfield, and the Bulldogs back the other way into the slot, taking a shot, bouncing it in, and scoring is Michael McCormick, the captain for this Bulldogs squad, and Yale leads by 2, 7-5.
I got to tell you, of all the people on the Yale team outside of Michael McCormick, I think the next happiest is Coach Shea, a defenseman who loves, you know, if you ask Coach Shea what he plays, he says, I'm a midfielder with a long pole. You know, he played defense his whole career, but he loves to see those guys from the defensive end getting into the play and finishing.
And McCormick wide open in that slot area right in front of the cage. Nobody guarding him, able to catch the ball, take a couple of steps, and bounce the shot past Murphy.
You can't leave him. You can't leave him alone.
So McCormick able to add on to the lead for the Bulldogs, their largest lead of the game, 7-5, as Yale once again will control here. There's a drill over to Mangan. Mangan didn't register a goal in the first half for the Bulldogs, but still a vital part of the offense, as Shakespeare will control at the top.
Brandon Mangan's role here is really initiating this offense, starting with that first dodge, and Yale's going to start with that first dodge, create somebody, create movement, get a second dodge if they have to, and then look for the open guy on the slide.
Mangan had 2 assists, though, in that first half, so he is working as a facilitator for this offense. As Shakespeare backs off, slows things up over to Thornton, and back to Shakespeare left wing. Just about 4 minutes into the third quarter, the Bulldogs leading 7-5. They've scored the only goal of the quarter so far. Oberbeck up top to McCarthy. No, I'm sorry, that was not McCarthy. That was Bonacci. Now Thornton on the left wing. Thornton being challenged defensively by the Stags. Solid defense from Gordy Carrick. And now Mangan will control behind the net. Mangan running to his left. Slows things up, looking for a place to pass it over to Bonacci. Bonacci not able to control the pass, but the Bulldogs will maintain possession as Shakespeare picks up the ground ball.
And Bonacci wishes he had that one back. It was just too easy.
Oberbeck working one-on-one with a Fairfield defender. Kicks it back over to Thornton. And now Bonacci. Bonacci would have had a nice opportunity had he caught that ball, that pass from Mangan. As Bonacci passes it over to Zadrill, a lot of contact in the slot. The shot deflected, and it stays in play behind the net, and the ground ball picked up by Murphy. Murphy creates some space for himself, telling his fellow players, fellow teammates to move up the field, and Fairfield comes back down in transition the other direction.
And that was kind of caused by a stall warning that was called by the ref. So the timer was on. Yale knew they had the pressure, had to move the ball quickly, and they were low on time.
Jordan Greenfield over to Sperry. Sperry works the ball all the way back up top, controlled by Drew Federico. And a flag flies on the field, so delayed penalty coming. As Fairfield still controls on the near side, making a run. Now backing off is Connor Dalton. Dalton loses the ball, a lot of contact on the near side. The ground ball picked up, however, by Fairfield, still loose. And now finally we'll have the violation called. And too many men on the field might have been called against the Bulldogs. So Fairfield will go on the man-up advantage. And Coach Shea visibly not happy with the call.
Yeah, quick call there. I guess that's why they were able to play such tough defense. You got that extra guy to double. I was like, they were doubling the ball an awful lot.
So a 30-second man-up for the Stags. They trail by 2 goals, but they've been successful on the man-up here today against the Bulldogs. Working the ball along the perimeter, Sam Snow. Now to the near side to Greenfield, back behind the net to Sperry. Sperry looking for a place to pass it back up top to Snow. Picks the ball off the ground. Greenfield makes a defender miss, takes the shot, and a save made by Natali. And it rolls behind the net, and the Stags will maintain possession. Natali doing a nice job inverting his stick, making the low save. But Fairfield still has it. 5 seconds left on the man up. Greenfield back up top to Snow. On the far side, working the ball around the perimeter. Sperry, as the man up now concludes. Ball loose on the poor pass. Newbarrow now was not able to pick it up. And now the Bulldogs come back the other way. A lot of contact, as falling to the ground was Otero. And nothing was called. Ball still loose. And now we'll have a delayed penalty, as the Bulldogs work it all the way back to the defense. And now clear it back up the midfield, where Kaczerzik will take it.
And that was kind of a play nowhere near the ball.
As ripping a shot and scoring is Alex Otero. And the Bulldogs lead by 3, and Murphy not happy letting that one get past them.
That shot was a laser. He wasn't. I don't care how he's played all year. He's not stopping that shot. You know, and the penalty is, I'm wondering if it's still a time-serving penalty on this. The refs are converging to talk about what they saw, but it was a cross-check nowhere near the ball. I'm wondering if they're going to call a cross-check or if they're just going to call interference.
We'll see what the call is momentarily, but right now Alex Otero puts the Bulldogs up by 3, and the cross-check will hold. So the Bulldogs leading by 3 goals, and they'll go on the man up for a minute. With 9:07 left in the third quarter, the Bulldogs have taken control of this game. Still a lot of time left, Patrick.
A lot of time. You know, Fairfield had a 3-goal lead that was gone. Now the refs are talking about something over here.
Just trying to make sure, I guess, everybody's clear.
I think they're changing it. Right now the board says a 30-second penalty, not a 1-minute penalty. But, you know, Fairfield had a 3-goal lead erased. I'm curious. I don't know if we can find out the stats. It seems like it's been kind of a while since Fairfield put a goal in the net. No times on there, but it's been a while. Yale has really kind of stepped up and taken control for this quarter at least, and a good portion of the second.
Well, Yale scored 5 unanswered goals. Fairfield led 4-1 in the early stages of the second quarter. And then Zadril had a couple of goals back-to-back to make it 4-3. Fairfield then on the man-up advantage in the second quarter made it 5-3. And since then, the Bulldogs have scored 5 unanswered. And they lead the Stags 8-5. It's been a turnaround for the Bulldogs after a first quarter that was mainly controlled by the Stags. And the Stags have been remarkably efficient offensively in the first half. But the Bulldogs, towards the latter stages of that first half and here in the second half, have really asserted themselves offensively and defensively, and they lead by 3.
Yeah, we talk all year about the Yale defense, and Yale's primarily a defensive team, a team that's really been known for the defense for a long time. Last year, we saw a couple of the guys, Matt Gibson, really kind of stepping up and creating an offensive look, and the guys who are replacing them are doing the same thing right now.
So now it looks like we're all set. 1 minute on the scoreboard, as the Bulldogs will go on the man up. Levings wins the faceoff once again for the Bulldogs and tosses it lightly over to Kaczerzik. And Kaczerzik over to Mangan. And the Bulldogs will set up shop offensively, up by 3 goals and 43 seconds left on the man up. Zadril already 3 goals for himself today. On the far side, over to Oberbeck, back up top to Thornton. Thornton to Mangan, and back behind the net to McCarthy. The Bulldogs working the ball around the perimeter. Zadril to McCarthy behind the net, to Mangan. Mangan looking for a place to pass it. Thornton, 23 seconds left on the man up. Thornton controls it in the high slot. Over the near side, Shakespeare behind the net to Mangan. 16 seconds on the man up. Oberbeck to Thornton. Thornton restarting up the offense. 10 seconds left on the man up. Shakespeare back to Thornton. Back over to Shakespeare, left wing. Mangan whips the shot, goes high over the crossbar. The Bulldogs will maintain possession. 2 seconds left on the man up. McCarthy brings the ball back into play for the Bulldogs. The man up expires. Mangan, and his pass intercepted by Murphy. A stellar play defensively by Murphy coming out of the cage. And the Stags are able to kill the man up advantage for the Bulldogs.
Taking matters into his own hands. You know, you're not going to, can't give it up to the goalie like that.
And that could be a big turning point for the Stags. They trailed by 3 goals, and the Bulldogs had a minute man advantage. But they're able to kill it off, and they'll come back the other way. Controlling it at the top was Warden. Warden still taking it, and over to McClendon near side. McClendon to Greenfield, back to Sperry behind the net. To Snow, back up top to Warden, as Newbrow jogs onto the field for the Stags. Back over to Warden on the left side. Spins around, creates some space to McClendon. Now parallel to the net is Greenfield, and he's stopped by Natali. The ball will roll out of bounds, and the Stags will maintain possession. It's a couple of point-blank saves that Natali has had to make on Greenfield in this third quarter alone.
Well, and those shots, Yeah, that shot there, not a really great angle. You want to see your attackman take a step in. If he takes a step towards the top of the goal, the goalie's not stopping it.
McClendon works his way to his left and back behind the net to Sperry. Sperry trying to create some space, works his way back out in front. Still guarded closely, spins to his right, passes it off. And controlled by Greenfield. 6:40 left in the third quarter. The Bulldogs leading by 3 goals. In the slot, McClendon rips the shot as the flag flies. It's deflected by a Bulldogs defender. McClendon picks up the ground ball, and the Stags will still maintain possession. Warden at the top, works his way to the right wing. Thinks about the shot, takes it, and a save made by Natali. Pops up in the air. He'll control it, but we'll have a penalty coming against the Bulldogs.
Yeah, kind of one of those, unfortunately, have to take penalties where you have got a player right in front of your net, and you got to put him on his back or he's going to score.
So the Stags will go on the man up. It's a part of their game that they've struggled a little bit with this year. Just 21% on the man up entering the game, 4 of 19. They do have a man up goal so far here today. They'll be on the man up for a minute as Kraft takes a seat with the penalty. The Bulldogs still leading by 3 goals. As the Stags work the ball around the perimeter. Sperry over to the far side. Newbarrow, Snow, Greenfield, back to Snow. Snow rips the shot and scores. Fairfield back on the board as they stop Yale's 5 consecutive goal streak, and the score is 8-6.
And the Yale defense going with a center string. The midfielder or the defenseman that was in the middle is guarding the guy down low and the guy down high, and Fairfield just worked that till they got a shot from up top that was, only at 12, 13 yards, which is pretty tough to stop for goalies.
So Sam Snow gets his second goal of the game. Now 12 goals on the season, ties him with Jordan Greenfield for the team lead in that category for the Stags. Snow and Greenfield, 2 of the marquee offensive players for the Stags team. And Snow, the first Stags player here tonight that has scored multiple goals. As Levings does a nice job of winning the face-off, controlling the ground ball and taking it for the Bulldogs. Falls to the ground, but still able to get the pass off to Glacini. And the Bulldogs will control offensively. 5:38 left in the third quarter. The Bulldogs leading 8-6. Yale entering the game as the number 20 team in the nation. Fairfield, the number 17 team.
And this is where Yale needs to really, they need to take the game back and start putting some goals in. A 2-goal lead is really kind of the worst lead to have. You really think you have some cushion, but you don't.
Yeah, 2-goal lead in many sports is always called one of the more dangerous leads. As Flaherty controls on the left wing, tries to make a move, but just loses the ball himself. And the ground ball picked up by Fairfield. Flaherty not happy with that caused turnovers. Mangan intercepts the D-to-D pass, and he controls it for the Bulldogs. Tries to cross it in, and Murphy takes it right back. Almost a poor turnover from Fairfield, as Mangan not able to capitalize on that turnover, and Murphy gets it back, and Fairfield comes back the other way.
Really kind of pushing it, forced it to the middle there a little bit.
So Fairfield will control. They're on the attack. 4:30 left in the third quarter. They trail by 2. Yale has led by as many as 3. Fairfield led by as many as 3 in the second quarter when they led the Bulldogs 4-1. It's been a back-and-forth game here at Reese Stadium on a picturesque Saturday afternoon. You'd have no idea that it snowed, 10-plus inches in this area only a couple of days ago.
Yeah, it finished yesterday morning. So,
yeah.
I mean, you don't even realize it. It's just New England, wait 15 minutes, the weather's going to change.
As Dalton makes a run towards the net, and Natali makes the point-blank save. Deflects off of him, a race for the ball, and nice effort from the Bulldogs, but Fairfield will maintain possession. As Snow works it back into the field of play. Sperry behind the net. Solid defense from Jimmy Kraft, not giving Sperry a lot of room to work with. Kicks it back out top to Dalton. And Dalton will slow things up as he gives it over to the top of the slot where Marshall Johnson has it.
And that was excellent hustle by Alec Bullen on that shot.
Marshall Johnson scored the first goal of the game for either side. and he controls it on the left wing. Dekes out a defender, passes it behind the cage to Sperry. Works his way back out in front, spins around. Solid defense from the Bulldogs. The ball loose on the ground. We'll have a penalty coming up as Sperry picks up the ground ball. And the Yale sideline visibly not happy with the upcoming call. 3:05 left in the third quarter. The Stags maintain possession. On the far side, Federico has it. Federico spins around, works his way towards the cage, back behind the net to Greenfield. Greenfield works his way back out in front, takes the low shot, deflected by a defender, picked up by Yale, but another penalty coming against the Bulldogs.
A lot of sticks going around in there. It's kind of, and they're calling a shot, an elbow to the head. A point of emphasis this year. I don't know that we didn't see it up here. Maybe they have a better view.
Jimmy Kraft will be called again. It's the second 1-minute violation called against Jimmy Kraft here in the third quarter. The Stags on their last man-up opportunity were able to capitalize. The Bulldogs had only allowed one man-up goal entering the game here today, but they've given up 2 to the Stags so far today, and Fairfield has an opportunity to bring themselves back within 1.
Yale needs to get the ball back, get it on the offensive end, and really work a possession, work some time, give their defense a break, give them some time to get their breath.
Greenfield on the right wing. Slows things up, gives it over to Neubauer. Back to Snow. Snow jogging to his left a little bit, creating some space. A couple of passes. Greenfield gives it in, and a deflection on Neubauer's pass in the slot as the Yale defense just collapsed on him, but the Stags will maintain possession. Yale sideline still not happy with the call. As another crossfield pass. Greenfield takes the shot, goes wide left. The Stags will keep it.
And the Yale coaching staff is upset because Eric Natale was clearly closest to the ball when that went out and should have had possession.
Snow. Back over to Neubauer, to Warden, Sperry, Warden. 10 seconds left on the man up. Neubauer thinks about the shot. Greenfield rips it, and it trickles in past Natale. He made the initial stop, but the ball was able to trickle past the line and find the back of the net, and the Stags, with 5 seconds left on the man-up advantage, have brought this game within 1 goal.
Well, and this is where Dylan Levings needs to get the ball. They need to get the possession, get to the offensive end, and take some time off of this clock. 1:55 seconds left. Work a long possession, get the first dodge, get the second dodge, and then put the ball in the net.
Yale almost was able to kill off that man up, but with 5 seconds left, Jordan Greenfield, with his first goal of the game, his 13th of the season, just able to trickle it past Natale, enough to bring the Stags within 1. As Levings will get set for the faceoff.
And one of the things is that was a locked-in penalty, so Yale's still down for 5 seconds. So let's see what Dylan Levings can do.
Levings wins the faceoff and comes back the other direction, gives it over to Mangan. Thinks about the quick shot, instead passes off to Zadrill. Zadrill loses the ball. It's picked up by the Stags.
Honestly, we're still man down. I want to, unless we really have something open, you want to, as a coach, I want my guys to hold that ball.
And instead, Fairfield gets the possession right back, and now they have an opportunity to tie the game up at 8. Jordan Greenfield slows things up on the near side. 1:22 left in the third quarter. Yale 8, Fairfield 7. A matchup of 2 nationally ranked opponents. Stags number 17, Yale number 20. Snow on the near side. Pump fakes a shot, works his way back towards the slot. A lot of contact, and the ball loose on the ground, picked up, however, by Fairfield. Neubauer loses it again, and Yale still not able to cleanly pick up the ball. Kaczerzik not able to control it. A lot of contact on the far side, and a foul will be coming up against Kaczerzik. And once again, the Stags will go on the man up for possibly the remainder of this third quarter.
And that's one you got to take it's a push from behind with possession. You got to be a little bit smarter than that. He gets it. If he gets that push before the ball goes into his stick, it's just a possession, and Fairfield gets the ball. But once it's in his stick, now you're down 30 seconds. You've been playing man down for 2.5 minutes now. Not what you want to do to your team when Fairfield has the momentum.
Yeah, Yale takes the time out here with 52 seconds left in the third quarter, and it's really been a tale of 2 parts of this third quarter, Patrick. Yale came out with a 6-5 lead after halftime. 2 quick goals. took a commanding 8-5 lead, and they had all the momentum. But Fairfield has been able to work their way back, a couple of bad penalties against the Bulldogs, and now it seems like momentum has shifted from the Bulldogs over to the Stags.
Absolutely, and this is where you really need your offensive players. Get back into it. Take control of this game. Get Brandon Mang in the ball. Get Conrad Overback and Kirby Zadrill, and take some time off the clock. Give your defense a break, and then put the ball in the net.
And for Fairfield, an opportunity to tie up the game. They led by as many as 3 goals in the second quarter, 4-1, but allowed 5 consecutive goals from the Bulldogs, which gave them a 3-goal lead in their own right. But this is a Stags team that has gone up against some pretty tough opponents this year. And granted, the Bulldogs have gone up against tough opponents also, St. John's and Albany, 2 very stout opponents. But Fairfield against the number 9 UNC only lost by 1 goal. And against number 15 Hofstra, they struggled in that game. But still, both of these teams have gone up against some tough opponents. So sort of battle-tested for this kind of game, close back and forth, and it promises to be a very exciting conclusion.
Absolutely, these are very, very well-matched teams. The polls aside, I think Yale's a better team than their poll number says.
So we come back as Sam Snow controls and gives it over to Greenfield. 19 seconds left on the man up for the Stags. They trail by 1 goal. A big moment of this game right here. Greenfield almost loses the ball, gives it back over to the left wing, and the Stags not able to control it, but another penalty coming up against the Bulldogs. Greenfield thinks about the shot, over to Neubauer, rips the shot, goes wide right. The Stags will maintain possession, but another penalty coming up against the Bulldogs with 21 seconds left in the third quarter, and the other man-up advantage expiring.
These refs have really enjoyed using their flags this afternoon. And this is going to be a helmet-to-helmet locked-in penalty. Questionable. They're going for a ground ball. He's going to get that ball. He's not going for the hit to take somebody's head off. But unfortunately, the new rules, if you get a helmet-to-helmet hit, they take out intention. It has nothing to do with intention, and it just has to do with whether or not you can make that contact.
So we get set to resume play. 10 seconds left in the third quarter. Fairfield slowing things up, and it looks like they're going to be content letting the rest of this quarter wind down, and they'll have a man-up advantage for the first 38 seconds of the fourth quarter. But after 3 quarters of play here at Reese Stadium, the Yale Bulldogs leading the number 17 Fairfield Stags 8-7. And we said it after the first quarter that it was a good game, Patrick. We said it after the second quarter that it was a good game. I think it's safe to say that again after the third quarter. And this fourth quarter is going to be quite entertaining.
Yeah, excellent game. I think we'd love to see it. Yale be putting more balls in the net and make it not as good a game. We had a little bit of a lead, but great play. Really gritty defense by Yale, and unfortunately just coming up on the wrong side of a couple of really tough penalties right now.
A big opportunity for the Bulldogs to try to kill off this penalty and work momentum back into their favor, but conversely, for the Stags, another opportunity for them to tie up the game. So a big moment coming up for the first 38 seconds of the fourth quarter. But as we look to the fourth quarter as a whole, Patrick, what do the Bulldogs need to do to try to hold this lead and to try to hold on for what would be a big win?
They need to get the ball in the offensive end. We haven't seen the ball, in the offensive end with for any length of time in probably half a period. And so we need to just give that defense a break. They've been getting shelled for the last probably 6-7 minutes, and they need a break.
So we resume play here in the fourth quarter. The Bulldogs leading by 1 with the Stags on a man-up advantage. As Sam Snow rips the shot, Natali makes the save. It bounces over to his left, and it's picked up once again by the Stags, so they'll stay on the offensive as the ball loose in the slot, picked up by the Bulldogs, and now comes the clearance, and no penalty called. There's a lot of contact on that far side after the Bulldogs picked it up. The ground ball now controlled by the Bulldogs on the far side, and an errant pass, the ground ball picked up by Warden on the far side. Still a lot of contact. Now finally the Bulldogs control, but falling down is a Bulldog defender, and eventually it's able to find the stick of Kaczerzik, and it looks like the Bulldogs will actually be able to clear the ball down the field. Mangan comes in, takes the shot, goes wide left, I think Murphy might have gotten a piece of that, but the Bulldogs kill off the man-up advantage for the Stags, and now they're on the attack, something that you were looking for them to do, Patrick.
And now it's time to work the possession. Brandon Mankin, I would have loved to seen him just take the time, work the possession, as opposed to firing that shot. That worries me because Murphy makes that save and turns around. You got a fast break going the other way. Let's take some time off the clock. You can control this game right now.
Yale leading by 1 with 13:46 left in the fourth quarter. Ryan McCarthy on the near side gets some instructions from his sideline and slows things up. He'll jog on the near side, guarded by Sam Snow. Pick made. McCarthy works his way back towards the cage. Out in front, Mangan over to the far side, Flaherty. Flaherty spins around, creates some space for himself, takes the shot, and a save made by Murphy. Ground ball picked up by Fairfield as Flaherty went diving for that ground ball. And Yale will hold on to the ball.
That was an assisted dive because he got a push from behind. I think they're calling it a loose ball, which is why the ball was going back to Yale.
So the Bulldogs hold on to it. McCarthy on the near side. Back behind the net to Oberbeck. Oberbeck to Mangan. Mangan over to Flaherty and back up top to Thornton. Thornton resets the offense for the Bulldogs. I'm sorry, that wasn't Thornton on the top. That was Lippin. Flaherty makes the run and gets the goal. Flaherty coming on the left wing, able to beat Murphy. The Bulldogs back on the scoreboard. They lead by 2. It's 9-7.
Second goal on the day for Colin Flaherty. I want to call him Jack, his older brother. But got a step and no slide comes. And if they're not going to slide to these Yale midfielders, they are going to beat this goalie all day.
Another big goal for Flaherty. And the Bulldogs lead by 2 with 12:55 left in the fourth quarter. And we had talked about a little bit in between the third and fourth quarter, Patrick. It was a big opportunity for both teams on that man up. For the first 38 seconds, the Bulldogs were able to kill it off, and then they come back down on their next offensive possession, get a goal, and go back on top by 2.
Yeah, and the reason that they held the ball at the end of the third quarter is they didn't want to risk having a face-off against Dylan Levings and having him take the ball even though they were man up.
But that time, just now, Fairfield wins the face-off. So they go back on the attack. McClendon will set up on the left wing on the near side. Up top to Neubauer. Neubauer makes a run to his right and passes it off. And back up top works its way to McClendon. McClendon, deke step, takes the shot and scores. Sam Snow on the right wing beats Natali. And back and forth we go. It's 9-8.
Great movement, gives him a time and room shot with a kind of a low angle, and Sam Snow is not going to miss that shot with that angle.
Snow's third goal of the game gives him 13 goals on the season. Now once again tied with Jordan Greenfield for the team lead in that category. And we've had one goal on each side here in the fourth quarter. It's 9-8 Yale, and this game living up to everything that it promised to be. Levings wins the face-off for the Bulldogs, and they'll come back the other way. Oberbeck slows things up behind the cage with 12 minutes left in this fourth quarter. Thornton over to Shakespeare, back into the game, and gives it over to Bonacci. Bonacci to Shakespeare to Thornton. And Thornton back over to Oberbeck and Mangan, and back on the far side to Bonacci. Over to Shakespeare and Thornton. So the Bulldogs working the ball along the perimeter here, trying to kill some time, work a possession, takes the shot, and it might have hit off the side post and rolls all the way back out of bounds, but the Bulldogs will hold on to it. Thornton making a run on the near side towards Murphy, not able to get the shot fully on frame. Mangan now controls it for the Bulldogs and gives it back over to Thornton. Left wing, thought about the shot initially, gives off to Zadrill, takes the shot and scores! Kirby Zadrill's fourth goal of the game, and the Bulldogs once again lead by 2. It's 10-8.
The kid's got ice water in his veins. He, catching that right on the crease. So often players are going to get their clock cleaned there, and he just, boom, catches it, turns and shoots, and finishes nice and high.
Zadrill's fourth goal, now with 13 on the season. Now with 10 on the season. And the Bulldogs back on top by 2. And Patrick, we've been talking about how dangerous a 2-goal lead can be. After the Bulldogs had made it a 2-goal lead, Fairfield immediately answered to make it, bring it back within 1. This time Zadrill makes it a 2-goal lead again. And it looks like Levings will win this faceoff for the Bulldogs, so they'll go back on the attack. But he loses the ball on the ground, wasn't sure where it was for a second. And it's picked up by DiGiacomo of Fairfield, and it looks like Fairfield will go back on the attack.
Back and forth game. We've talked all day. Evenly matched, very strong defensive teams with a couple of big offensive stars who have potential to do stuff. If Yale wins today, it's going to be that they'll continue to shut down Jordan Greenfield. I mean, that's...
So the Stags on the attack. Snow on the near side with 3 goals already today. Up top to McClendon. And over to Warden. 10:35 left in the 4th quarter. The Bulldogs leading by 2. Up top to McClendon. McClendon spinning around. Works his way to his left. Finds some space and loses control of the ball. Goes over the crossbar. They'll say it was a shot, so Fairfield will hold on to it.
It was a great trail check. He'd gotten a step on him. Just caught the tip of that stick just as he was shooting.
Sperry has it, works his way in front of the cage, spins around, almost loses the ball. Still controlling it. Tough defense from the Bulldogs. It's loose, and it finds McClendon. Fairfield averaging 8.6 goals per game, so right around their season average. The Bulldogs averaging a little over 12, and a timeout taken by Fairfield, recognizing the importance of this specific attack. With 10:05 left in the 4th quarter, the Bulldogs holding on to a 2-goal lead.
What an outstanding game that you're getting treated to today. And on YouTube, if you're watching us, just outstanding offensive and defensive play on both ends of the field. Yale's defense really doing what they've done all season, really keeping teams to under 10 goals, and really what you need to do. And the Fairfield defense, only the 2nd time this season that they've given up 10 goals. Will it be enough?
It promises to be another exciting conclusion with Yale leading by 2. But the Bulldogs, their attack has slowed up a little bit. I mean, granted, it's picked up here in the 4th quarter, but it got off to a real fast start in that 3rd quarter, and they've slowed up. What has Fairfield done that has slowed up this Bulldogs attack a little bit in the 2nd half?
They've kept the ball from them. They've had the ball. They've kept it out of their hands, and they've you know, you look at the Fairfield possessions. They were long possessions, really helped by the penalties. 2.5 minutes of penalties. Locked in penalties. It hurts, and it runs your team ragged. That's probably the most running that you're going to do on the defense end of the field is when you're man down, because you're moving, trying to stay one move ahead of the team that's moving the ball. So they did that. They tired them out. Now Yale's gotten their win back, and hopefully they can stop this possession and then take the ball down to the other end.
And you had said earlier in the game, Patrick, how it would be interesting if this was a close game at the end, and then you have two goalie matchup between Natali and Murphy, both pretty stout so far here today. Murphy's been stellar throughout the entire season, so it's a close game.
I honestly was worried that Natali, as a young guy, would lose that battle, but he's played outstanding. He really has, in a lot of ways, been the difference today.
So the Stags controlling. McClendon over to Warden. Warden trying to create some space. He'll slow things up, retreat a little bit, and hand it off. And McClendon will slow it up at the top and give it back over to Neubauer. Neubauer on the right wing, guarded closely. Ball works its way back over to McClendon. 9:30 left in regulation. McClendon's spin move at the top of the slot still has it, making a couple of defenders miss. And it looks like the Bulldogs will be called for another penalty. Delayed as Fairfield still controlling. Sperry behind the net.
The NCAA did some changes to the sticks a couple of years ago to make them make the ball dislodge easier. I don't think that it worked.
McClendon did a fantastic job of holding on to the ball through a couple of Yale defenders. As Sperry is checked down to the ground by Kaczerzik, but he maintains possession. Warden has it and almost finds a Jordan Greenfield right in front of Natali, but the pass goes wide right, rolls out of bounds, but now we'll have this penalty called against the Bulldogs with 8:51 left in the 4th quarter. Yale still leading by 2. And a 1-minute penalty coming up against Jimmy Kraft. That's the 3rd time that Kraft will sit down for a minute here in the 2nd half.
I guess they've got his number today. Three guys, converging on him. I don't know. I didn't see the slash there. For as much as a slash I saw withholding the ball.
So Fairfield, another opportunity to bring themselves within one. They have the man-up advantage for the next 54 seconds. Sam Snow over to Neubauer, behind the net, taken by Sperry. Sperry over to Warden. Warden up top to Neubauer, to Snow. Over to Greenfield. Greenfield back behind the net to Sperry. To Warden, left wing, takes the shot, and a save made by Natali. A high-to-high save, and the Bulldogs will look to clear, and a huge one that is, Patrick.
Amazing, and a beautiful outlet pass from Kacharsik up the wing here to clear this ball.
So the Bulldogs able to bring it down the field, and the pass from Otero is deflected by Fairfield out of bounds. So Yale will maintain possession. 21 seconds left on the man up. 8:13 left in the fourth quarter. The Bulldogs already leading by 2. They'll look to kill off this next 15 seconds of the man up and work their way back to even strength. Flaherty working his way behind the net. Already 2 goals on the game for Colin Flaherty. And slows things up as the man-up advantage for the Stags expires. Back at even strength with 7:48 left in regulation. Behind the net, McCarthy has it. Ryan McCarthy slows things up as some cheers start to rain down from the Bulldogs faithful here at Reese Stadium. McCarthy back up top. Works its way around to Colin Flaherty on the left wing. Flaherty trying to create some space. An errant pass deflected by Fairfield, or the ground ball picked up by McCarthy. And this time a penalty coming up against the Stags. So the Bulldogs will look to go on the man-up advantage. A delayed penalty coming, 7:16 left in regulation. Oberbeck still has it for the Bulldogs, as his sideline telling him to slow things up a little bit. Oberbeck over to McCarthy. McCarthy up top to Lippin. Lippin back to McCarthy. And McCarthy will slowly jog behind the net. Yale looking for what would be their 3rd win of the season, riding a 2-game winning streak after losing to St. John's 10-9 to start off their 2013 campaign. In the home opener here at Reese Stadium, McCarthy back over to Lippin, not able to control the pass, the ball loose on the ground, and Lippin will have no problem picking it up himself and restarting the offense.
And Yale needs to get a shot on goal here.
Flaherty, cross-field pass looking for McCarthy, takes a couple of steps, takes the shot, and a save made by Murphy. A high-to-high save. McCarthy not happy with his shot, but the penalty coming against Fairfield, so the Bulldogs will stay on the attack with a man up.
A great handle there, because I didn't think he was getting that one. It was a really high pass, and now Yale's on the man up. The question is, are they going to, what's their plan here? Is it really pushing to get another goal, or is it taking more time off the clock? Is it work the penalty and wait on that man up and try to get that shot in the last couple of seconds? Fairfield's getting to the point where the clock is really going to be their enemy.
Still some time left, 6:25, but of course the Bulldogs on the man up for the next 55 seconds now and have an opportunity to add on to their 2-goal lead. They lead 10-8 with 6:15 left in the fourth quarter. They've led by as many as 3 goals. They've also trailed by as many as 3 goals. Thornton over to Shakespeare. Shakespeare does a drill. Quick passing, takes the shot and scores! Brandon Mangan gets his first goal of the game, and the Bulldogs take an 11-8 lead.
What a beautiful cross feed through a lot of sticks, and Brandon Mangan puts himself on the scorer's chart.
Brandon Mangan able to field that cross, that almost skip pass on the far side and beat Murphy. So Patrick, you asked whether they would take some time off the clock or whether they'd be aggressive and try to get a shot on net. They were aggressive, and it turned out to work in their favor.
Yeah, absolutely, and when you got a kid like Brandon Mangan who can finish like that, you always do it.
Mangan's 11th goal of the season, trailing only Oberbeck, who has 12 after his 2-goal performance here today. But Fairfield wins the face-off, and now they'll control it on the attack with 5:47 remaining in regulation. Colin McClendon on the near side gives it over to Neubauer. Neubauer and McClendon playing a little catch, and now Warden comes back into the attacking zone. Once again, Neubauer controlling on the far side. Hands it off to Greenfield, trying to create some space for himself, works his way into the slot, still controlling the ball, and will continue to run it and give it over to Sperry behind the net. Spins around, takes the shot, goes wide right, but the Stags will stay on the attack. 5:13 remaining in regulation.
I'm really impressed with that. You know, that's a real disciplined play by Greenfield. He's been held out, and he gets a step, but he still looks to make the pass.
And a penalty coming against the Bulldogs as Greenfield falls to the ground. A lot of contact, and already jogging off the field is Peter Johnson, knowing that the call is coming against him. So Fairfield with an opportunity to work their way back into it. They'll have a man-up advantage for a minute with 5:05 left in the fourth quarter, trailing by 3 goals.
Well, I think it was a hold, so it should be a 30-second penalty. But, you know, he had a step. And when Jordan Greenfield's in that close, you take him down. You know, use the hold. Your defense has been doing all right.
So a 30-second penalty. My apologies. As Fairfield goes on the attack, Snow to Greenfield, behind the net to Sperry. Back up top, Neubauer, Snow, back to Greenfield. Snow, Neubauer, near side. Neubauer still controlling. The Stags working the ball around the perimeter, trying to find an open spot to shoot it. Neubauer is still controlling as the 30-second man-up expires. Greenfield takes the shot, and Natali makes the save. The ground ball picked up by Kraft, and the Bulldogs will look to clear.
Another huge save by Eric Natali, just really stepping up and showing why he's the starter here.
Yale looking for the clearance. On the near side, controlling it was David Better. Still some D-to-D passing. Natali holding on to it right now, trying to clear the ball for the Bulldogs. Just lifts it all the way down the field, where Jack Murphy not able to pick off the pass. And the ball still loose on the ground. Oberbeck wasn't able to control it. Now Murphy picks up the ground ball. A dangerous pass, though, from Natali, and it almost worked into the Bulldogs' favor.
I think he threw it down. I think they were running out of time, and he was just worried that they were going to get, you know, automatic possession, so he just lobbed it down the field, hoping that one of his guys could come up with it.
So Greenfield on the far side sets up shop for the Stags offensively. 3:40 remaining in regulation. The Bulldogs leading by 3. 11-8 ties their largest lead of the game. On the near side, Colin McClendon. McClendon makes his move to the left and slows things up. Sperry. That's Greenfield, excuse me. That's controlling it behind the net. Works his way back out front. Tries to find a streaking Warden. Not able to connect on the pass. Natali makes a point-blank save on Sam Snow. What a save by Natali. The Stags stay on the offensive.
Natali's just standing on his head making these saves.
As Marshall Johnson thought about the shot at the top of the slot, thought better of it, passes it off behind the net to Warden. I'm sorry, that's Federico controlling it behind the net. And back up top to McClendon. But what a save by Natali, as he's certainly stepped up his game here in the fourth quarter. McClendon still controlling it, spins around to his left. Point-blank shot, and another save made by Natali. What a fourth quarter for Eric Natali, and the Bulldogs stay on top by 3.
What they're trying to say is that he didn't get out of the crease within 4 seconds, which was, or that he stepped back in, but that was an iffy call.
But that call notwithstanding, Eric Natali stepping up his game in the fourth quarter, trying to will these Bulldogs to what would be their 3rd victory of the season.
St. Patrick's Day Parade in New Haven tomorrow, and clearly he's got the luck of the Irish today with these saves. Just outstanding play. He comes over to the sideline, and kind of all his guys are coming over to him already, just patting him on the head, knowing that he's, you know, single-handedly keeping this game out of reach for the Stags.
A couple of point-blank saves that Natali has made, really reinvigorating this entire Bulldog sideline, the fans here at Reese Stadium, and all the Bulldogs that are on the field. And just, you know, stepping up, because there's some goal scorers on this Fairfield team that could score from almost anywhere on the field, but Natali is, just as you said, Patrick, standing on top of his head here in the fourth quarter.
And really, these are Division I lacrosse players. When you're standing on the crease, they're all outstanding. They're all scorers, and he's just making unbelievable. I worry a little bit that the Yale defense is letting guys get that close, but you know, especially with Cornell coming to town next week with a guy named Rob Pinnell, you know, we definitely worry about that. But if Natal is playing like this next week, we got some some good things going on.
Natali making his fourth start of the season. Coming into today, a 55.8 save percentage on the year, but has certainly stepped up his play here in the fourth quarter, trying to will the Bulldogs to victory over the number 17 ranked team in the nation and the Fairfield Stags. 2:32 left in regulation. The Bulldogs leading Fairfield by 3. Sam Snow thought about the shot. Pump fake, still controls it, rips a shot nowhere near Natali, way wide right, but Fairfield will hold on to the ball. Taking it on the far side will be Sperry, and he gives it over to McClendon, and now to Warden on the left wing. Little deke move, stutter step, trying to get past the Yale defender. Over to McClendon. Snow not able to control the pass, the ball loose on the ground, and it's picked up by the Bulldogs, and they'll look to come the other way. Kaczerzik crosses the midfield line, clears the ball for the Bulldogs. They go on the attack. McCarthy on the near side with under 2 minutes remaining in the ball game.
And this is where the Yale attack has to get on their horse and just run and run and run and take some time off of this clock.
Mangan controlling it behind the cage as Murphy has come out of the net to play defense. Mangan works his way in front and gets the open net goal. The Bulldogs up by 4 with 1:43 left in the fourth quarter. And Yale taking care of business here in the fourth quarter, Patrick.
Yeah, and Dylan Levin's going down there to celebrate with his guys before he gets to that face-off. These Yale players better get up with the emphasis on pace of play. They better get up there.
Fairfield had brought it within 1 here in the fourth quarter. It was 9-8, but since then the Bulldogs have scored 3 unanswered, 12-8, their largest lead of the game. And with only $1:43 remaining in regulation, the Bulldogs very well could be on their way to another big win, would be their 3rd win of the season. As Levings almost wins the faceoff for the Bulldogs, a ground ball loose and a violation called against the Stags. So Yale will take the ball back up by 4 with 1:30 remaining.
A Fairfield defenseman had thought possession was called and had stepped out of the box before possession. And this is, we talked about this. My wife will say that I'm not right that often, but saying that this Yale team was going to bring it on in the fourth quarter, and that Fairfield has had this tendency of letting down in the fourth quarter. That's what we've seen.
So Mangan controlling on the far side, being double teamed by a pair of Fairfield defenders, and tries to get the pass out in front. Ball loose, works all the way back into the Yale end, but Lippin is able to pick it up and work it back for the ground ball. 55 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Lippin controlling it and slowing things up as Fairfield has let up a little bit. Lippin takes the shot, and a deflection made by one of the Fairfield defenders, Tom Lukasovich, able to stop that one from going in as Murphy was out of the cage. 40 seconds left in regulation. Fairfield trailing by 4. They'll have to get a couple of shots on in a hurry. Warden comes back the other direction, gives it off to the right wing, works its way back to Warden, over to Sam Snow. An errant pass will roll towards the sideline, out of bounds. The Bulldogs will get the ball, and with 25 seconds left in regulation, it looks like Yale will be able to escape this one with a W.
Yeah, they're gonna take their time moving the ball up the field and really just hold on to it. Hey, what an outstanding game for Eric Natali.
Eric Natali front and center here in the fourth quarter as the Bulldogs able to extend their lead against Fairfield. Work down the clock, 5 seconds remaining, and the Yale Bulldogs defeat the Fairfield Stags, the number 17 team in the nation. Your final score from Reese Stadium, the Bulldogs take it 12-8. A very impressive win for the Bulldogs. They improved to 3-1 on the season as the Fairfield Stags drop to 500. They're 3-3 overall.
Really great game, both ends of the field for Yale. Like we said, Fairfield is a really good defensive team. Only gave up 10 goals to North Carolina. Yale puts out 12 goals on them, and nobody else had gotten to double digits on Fairfield. Defensively, Yale keeps them at 8 goals, keeps Jordan Greenfield out of the scoring column, and Eric Natali plays out of his mind for this game.
Yeah, how about Eric Natali, the sophomore coming in only with a 55% save percentage on the year, stepping up against a very potent attack in Fairfield and really willing this Bulldogs team to victory in the fourth quarter.
The last line of defense, and he did an outstanding job. Team is going to be absolutely behind him today and the rest of the season. He definitely has shown why he's the starter.
And offensively for this Bulldogs squad, getting a lot of contributions from all over the place. Brandon Mangan didn't get onto the goal sheet until the fourth quarter, but working its way around. This is a drill with 3 goals early on for the Bulldogs, so it's just a really overall solid offensive effort from Yale today.
Yeah, you know, with Yale losing, like I said, Matt Gibson, Darren Dempster, Colin Still, Greg Mahoney, all these guys, that you think that there's going to be this huge letdown, and they really have just built this really good program with guys like Colin Flaherty coming up, Kirby's drill, Ryan McCarthy doing a great job out there, and Brandon Mangan, of course, leading the charge, him, Conrad over back in the drill. Outstanding group.
And for this Fairfield team, it's a disappointing loss for them. They've gone up against some stiff opponents here this year, and Yale, another very tough opponent for this Fairfield squad. They fall to 3-3, but again, the overall record might not be indicative of exactly what kind of team this is, considering that they have 3 losses, all to ranked opponents. And
yeah, absolutely, and they are a good team. They're going to have Michigan next week, and then Quinnipiac, and so two games. Quinnipiac just right on that edge of being ranked. Michigan, a team, a newer team that Fairfield should use to kind of rebound and push towards the rest of the season.
And for this Yale team, a big win here today against Fairfield, but of course, everybody looking at that matchup a week from today, right here at Reese Stadium against Cornell. What does this win do for momentum purposes for this Yale team leading up to that huge game against the Big Red?
It tells them that they can play. You have that first tough game, and when you lose a game, it's always you got to look at how your team responds in the game after. And Yale lost to St. John's. They came back and they handled Albany, who was a very good team. They've come on. They're playing very strong. They're playing really smart. Cornell, number 3 in the country right now, number 2, 3. They are the team that's going to be probably the toughest challenge for Yale this season. So they're going to do a huge challenge next week. See what the defense and Eric Natale can do with Rob Pinnell, Steve Mock, and when the Big Red comes to town next week.
Well, that will certainly be an exciting game that a lot of these Eli's fans are quite looking forward to. It should be a heck of a game right here at Reese Stadium. Hopefully we could have the same weather that we did today, because today the weather was absolutely gorgeous.
Let's hope we have the same weather, the same kind of game, and the same result.
So that'll pretty much do it for us here at Reese Stadium. I'd like to thank everybody involved with the All Access broadcast. Your final score, the number 20 Yale Bulldogs defeat the number 17 Fairfield Stags 12-8. The Bulldogs improve to 3-1 in the season. The Stags fall to 3-3. Yale will be back in action a week from today when they host currently the number 3 team in the nation, the Cornell Big Red. For everybody involved with the broadcast and my color commentator today, Patrick Reed, I'm Mark Schwartz signing off from New Haven. This was a presentation of Yale All Access. Have a pleasant good afternoon, everybody.